Hey guys, we're just checking in. This week we really were focusing on getting the tractor ready to cultivate our strawberries. And
Once you know it, you get everything that you think you need. So we were waiting on some things, and they showed up at the last minute. And we kind of slammed everything together, and then sometimes you have to do a whole bunch of stuff just for one little thing. We went through, serviced the fuel system, and cultivated all the beds, and now we're just hoping and praying. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, snow, and that means we can do some primary bedding and start some new beds and work up some beds that I did the primary bedding of in the fall.
Yeah.
So we should, in the next few weeks, have some really big changes. And around here, it's important for us to stay with the weather. Our ground does not hold a lot of moisture, so you have to work when it's wet. Fall plowing and disking and bedding is always preferred, but if you can get out there and get it done, and on our scale we can because of the equipment we have. So
yeah, it's a game changer this year. We didn't have the tractor last year, and we did all hand weeding, which is fine, but being able to cultivate between the rows, then we can focus on just the tops. And just getting into the field earlier will help kind of subdue some of those weeds, just stop them from even happening. So it's really exciting that we're getting to it now, at least.
Along with the strawberries, it's runners too. We do pot some of them, and we do spread them out, but there's a certain number of runners. We have honey oil. It's very vigorous. There's a lot of runners. That's great for us in our short season, but you'll see in the video, we tore up some runners, and you can see the weeds are growing already. It's still getting frosty at night, but the weeds are growing.
So we'll be able to continue that through the season. It took him less than an hour to cultivate our acre of berries, and then we'll be able to go through and get the tops.
That was like a half an acre though.
Oh, that was
only 20 beds.
Oh, okay. Well, it was still a lot faster than last year. We'd be like, okay, we're gonna get 4 done a day.
That was the whole day.
That was the whole day, yeah. So I'm thankful. In addition to that, we're gonna be putting in a bunch of samfoin. We're gonna be spreading a bunch of seed. We want to make sure that our goats are able to eat that for quite a bit of the summer. Yeah. And then also the chickens.
It helps to break the parasite cycle. It's a really good perennial nitrogen fixing legume, and our bees absolutely love it.
Yeah. And then this year we're gonna be putting in some more flowers. We're gonna be cleaning up our lavender a little bit, making that more accessible and easier.
Actually, we're going to be transplanting a good section of our plot, and then we'll about double it with new plants.
Yeah, so that'll be really fun. And then, we made the decision to rehome our cows, which they really, really built up this property. We couldn't have gotten.
I initially started with the greenhouse, and the cows had 8 acres to graze, and now we've spread the gardens and production out to a point where we have about 1.5 acres to graze, which is plenty for the dwarf goats.
Yep.
And we love the goats. They eat weeds, and they're just great to have around on the property.
I agree.
But unfortunately, it was time for the cows to find, greener pastures.
I agree. Well, I mean, and you kind of talk about that, how, an animal knows when their usefulness is not being used. And it's not
their
good
needs
for
were
them.
being met, but they were gaining weight, and she was not being milked, and she was not having babies, and she wasn't having a productive life anymore.
Yep.
It isn't fair.
So now that opens up a lot of space for us. We're gonna add some trees. And where we're at right now, this is actually gonna be a shop. And then eventually we'll be able to keep some trees in here. So a lot of good is coming from it, but we had a really good experience with it. But just kind of the changing of every year something different, and just kind of pivoting where you have to make it work. So, yeah.
Well, the other thing that happened is we're now allowed to have poultry. So the chickens
they're pretty awesome.
We're doing a lot of chickens.
Yep. So we're doing about 8 dozen a day. We have a couple drop-offs, so that's been pretty busy. And just knowing that those 2 animals are going to be the best for our situation, I think it was a wise move to make. Yeah, and then in addition to that, we're just going to be laying a bunch of grass seed and moving some panels around. So there's going to be a lot of transformation getting ready for the market garden season.
Okay, today I'm going to talk a little bit about raised beds. When we got onto this property, it did not take us very long to realize we have 6 to 10 inches of topsoil, and then it turns into cobblestones and gravel. So we didn't have a whole lot to work with as far as keeping things wet. And one night, just thinking about, oh my God, what have we done? I realized that this 6 to 10 inches of soil, if I were to take it and pile it on top of itself, could amount to a foot, maybe 1.5 feet of soil. And now I start looking at some of this, and it takes quite a bit of horsepower to do something like this. So I got a bigger machine, and I got a big, beefy bedder. And what that does is after settling and everything, we end up with about a 12-inch bed, inches. And in between my tires is 54 inches. So that gives us, about a 36-inch bed, because you have to consider the hip. And that's what the little triangle here, the part that you don't want to be growing on, that would be called the hip. And a lot of folks like to cover them with plastic. Our deal wasn't necessarily that we needed to hold moisture that badly. We have cool nights. Our deal was we needed the soil to begin with. So what we did was we came through and we made these wheel tracks and the thing of it is where your tractor drives, it doesn't really matter so much, the soil. We do have a ripper, and we'll have some videos of that ripping the wheel tracks. But with our soil being primarily gravel down there, when we scrape things up onto the bed, we get down to the gravel and the cobblestone pretty quick, and we have fantastic drainage in between each bed, which is also really nice considering when you have a bunch of beds, let's say I just want to water this one and this one. Well, if it's starting to bleed over to the others, it's awfully nice that I can control. This one gets 1.5 hours. This one gets 3 hours. You can start to control your moisture in each bed individually. Now you can harvest different things at different times, and you can plant different things at different times. So pretty quickly we realized that the only way to go is drip irrigation. Now we have a valve to control each bed. So each bed is its own garden. Our beds are 200 feet long. Like I said, they're about 3 feet across. So you have plenty of room to wander up and down the beds. We do everything from strawberries to root crops in these, and just about everything seems to enjoy it quite a bit. Some of the other benefits that we enjoy here in Montana is we have a 90-day frost-free growing season. 90 days. Yes, 90. So what we have here is, our snow. Well, okay, the snow melts off the top, and our sun is able to heat. Well, when we have the steam coming off in the mornings, we know that the sun is radiating heat into these beds, while in between the beds is still completely covered with snow. This soil is obviously not warming. It's still frozen while we're able to get into this. Now, a few weeks later, these are dry enough to be working on, and I have my little gravelly, rocky bed down here. I can drive my tractor on that. We can get out on this a lot earlier than, say, flat black dirt where we might just sink in and make a mess and wreck our dirt. We never drive on our soil. We only drive right next to it. Okay, so the next thing that we found out was you could do one drip line and you could grow a really nice center row, but with two 18-inch spacing, we have 3 spaces. They're all 18 inches, so you get 1.5 feet strip along each one. Not every crop obviously can do that, but with this configuration between either the 1 drip line or the 2 per bed, you can grow just about whatever you want. So we're going to do no-till in a bed configuration. So I'm going to build a roller out of just a land roller and some 4-inch angle iron. We're going to go around like this. And that will be my roller crimper. So I'm going to take that roller, cut it down to the size of these beds. The other benefit to the bed is my roller crimper only needs to be 36 inches. I'll probably make it to 50 just in case. But now I have more pressure on these. It's a 1/4 inch piece of angle iron. Well, I may do 3/8 inch even, because we have quite a few rocks, as I said, and they'll bend just about anything. So you have 1/8 of an inch strip of steel, or a 3/8 inch strip of steel, pushing down to that soil. When it's 48 inches versus 10 feet long, you get a lot more pressure. Your PSI is a lot higher, so this might not have to weigh quite as much, and it'll give me more maneuverability when I'm trying to turn and get around. So what that's going to do is, now the only thing that I have to do heavy equipment-wise is pull a roller crimper across my beds. I'm not plowing anymore. I'm not tilling. I'm not harrowing. I don't care what the action is. If you're breaking up the soil, you're breaking up the soil. Personally, I prefer a plow and a disc. I think that the chopping action of those items is not quite as violent as, say, a tiller. In this scenario, you avoid all of that. Maybe you're running a cereal rye, crimp it. Allelopathic properties of the rye, when it starts to break down, is going to keep your weeds from germinating. And then when you go to direct transplant into that, and you're going to have to transplant, it's very difficult to get seeds to germinate when rye has been in there heavy. But now you have a natural mulch set in place that's going to help to retain moisture on your bed. So the thing of it is any style of growing that you choose, for wherever you're at, you're going to find advantages and disadvantages. Find the one with the advantages that you're the most excited about, that allow you to do the things that you want to do.
To me, it's still like this could all go away tomorrow, kind of deal. Like I could go to market and nobody buys our stuff and that's the end of us, kind of deal. Especially in this world where, in this area, there's not a lot of people doing this, but there still is other choices, and that kind of scares me a little bit. But on the other hand, if you're not scared of something, you're not going to succeed in anything. If everything's just given to you, you're automatically going to win. If everybody gets a medal, it doesn't mean anything to you. You have to win that medal. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.